Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we are discussing a 2006 model year limited edition of 50 pieces that marked the debut of de Bethune's first manufacturer automatic movement. This is the DB20 GMT in white gold and titanium. The watch is large with the shingle style case characteristic of the DB20 series of models, the 20, 21, 22, and so forth. The watch is broad, 45 millimeters in diameter, and thin, 11.9 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, 53.7 millimeters across the wrist, with a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The watch wears broad and flat, as you may have expected. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, I feel like the watch is a bit much. Like, you might want to have a wrist of 17 centimeters circumference to wear this with optimal proportion. It'll fit, it'll sit, it will be comfortable, and as you can see in profile, surprisingly thin. But for proportion's sake, I think 17 centimeter circumference wrists and up have always been ideal for the DB20 series. Now, the 20 is an impressive watch. You can see a combination of blued titanium, gray gold, more on that in a moment, and this lovely, highly saturated ultramarine alligator leather strap. We have Jean Rousseau of Paris. We often like to use these because they're high grade and used by many fine Swiss independents, including F.P. Journe. Quality is second to none. You can see here we have large rectangular scale alligator leather with symmetrical scales, always indicative of a very expensive cut of the material. We have a folded edge with a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom, brand new, no crimping, no gouging, and it comes with a matching white gold de Bethune pin buckle. De Bethune buckles have always matched the cases, so you can see that there's a little bit of a fluting to the side of the buckle, and then we have a sharp creased fluting to the size of the lug. The side of the lug, very much like the side of the pin buckle. That kind of design parallelism speaking to the attention to detail inherent in these watches. You can see how the assembly hardware has become part of the show, as the watch almost looks like a machine under construction, and you get to see sort of inside the workings of the assembly and the fixtures. You'll also note that these are proprietary screw profiles, so idiots can't locally disassemble them and try to work on the movement, and that's a feature, not a bug. Now, you'll note there's a couple of different finishes here. Obviously, the polish. Then you can see that there's a sort of satination in the form of media blast within the fluting, and then circular brushing around the hour track. So we have three different finishes: the media blast, the satin, and the polish. The crown is a screw down. You can see it has knurling and drilling, and it's 200 meters water resistant. This gray gold watch is 200 meters water resistant. Now, gray gold, what do I mean by that? Well, if you compare this watch to steel, for example, let's bring a steel watch on. You can see how the steel is bright silver white, and then the gray gold is a little bit warmer. Well, gray gold is a white gold that's not rhodium plated. It's white all the way through, and it never needs to be plated to sustain this white hue. As a result, it's a little bit warmer to the eye, a bit more saturated than a rhodium-plated white gold, but this is the good stuff. It's what de Bethune, JLC, Rolex, Grubel, Patek, and many other top-tier brands use. It's what you want to see. De Bethune has a process for fire bluing titanium, and it's been deployed here in two places. First, on the bezel. You can see that these little blued titanium cabochons have been black polished and then fired blue, acting as your individual hour indices, though we also have hour indices inboard for some of the hours. This inner track is drilled to provide a minute scale, and then you can see the hands as well as the dial base have also been blued, but to a much darker blue. The hands are an assembly of polished components on top of fired dark blue, navy blue components, and then we have microlight engraving on the dial. That's what this concentric pattern is. It's called microlight. It's a proprietary method by de Bethune, a reductive guilloche of sorts. And then we have striping, as you can see, Côte de Genève down the center, framing the power reserve indicator for the automatic winding 5-day power reserve, as well as the day-night indicator for the hands at center and the secondary time zones. So let me demonstrate what's going on here. You could see that we have a jumping hour display for the second time zone. So this is both a dual time and a jump hour, and a power reserve in addition. So here's your power reserve indicator. I'm going to wind the watch. You can see as it winds, it transitions from red to silver. Then we've got a little day-night indicator. The local hour is connected to that day-night indicator. So as you advance from day to night and back, that little aperture will change color. That's how that works. And then we have the jump hour. We also have a system that allows us to independently set the jump hour, and you'll note 24-hour format, making it easy to distinguish between day and night in your reference time, that is the time where you are not. You'll also note that there is a lovely bright polished frame with a wonderful lustrous metallic depth surrounding the date itself. It's a good-looking dial in a good-looking watch, and it has a bunch of different textures, tones, materials, and surfacing, which really adds to the intrigue of the model. Now on the reverse side, we have individual edition numbers, and you can see that this one was part of a limited edition of 50 pieces back in 2006. Everything that is sort of slate blue back here has been matte finished and fired blue. You can see we have 4 cantilevered shock protection springs for the ball bearing at the center of the rotor. The rotor is made of platinum outboard, and then the rotor inside is titanium, so the actual lever arms are made of titanium. The idea being to maximize the mass at the edge of the rotor to maximize the winding efficiency. You can see we have both media blast and satination on the bridges. There's 2 barrels to endow the watch with that 120-hour power reserve. All of this pivots on 53 joules, and you can see it has a full balance bridge for better bracing against shock. And it has 3 shock protection springs on the balance. This is called triple parachute. It's patented by de Bethune. The twin self-adjusting barrels, also patented. Also patented the unique balance here, which is a combination of titanium and platinum bulbs or platinum masses in the rim. And the idea here is to maximize the mass of the balance wheel in the rim, but also reduce its susceptibility to temperature changes. And this was an early example of Denis Flageolet's evolving patented balance wheels. He's got at least 8, maybe as many as 10 patented balance wheels. Denis Flageolet is the watchmaking genius behind de Bethune watches. And so this is sort of a mile marker on his path to modernity, as he's an unsentimental type and will always redesign when he feels like he has a better design. But it's important to maintain the history of these watches. When they go back for service, keep the original balance. I cannot overemphasize that. Now what we also have here is a hairspring that's actually shaped by hand, 2 pieces independently, and they're shaped into a patented flat hairspring curve. When the 2 are clamped together, they have perfectly distributed mass radially, which means that they breathe concentrically like an overcoil for excellent timekeeping in any position, but they're not shock susceptible like an overcoil, and they're not thick from top to bottom like an overcoil. Plus, no tricks played here. You have a 4 hertz beat rate, or 8 beats per second, so nothing has been done to achieve that 5-day power reserve that would diminish the timekeeping accuracy or efficiency of the watch. And as you can see, the look here is very industrial, but the closer you get, the more you realize the finishing is very traditional. Take a look, for example, in the triple parachute shock protection springs in steel, satination on their tops, polished locating pegs, black polished screw heads, and mirror beveling along their edges. So God is still in the details. This is Deus ex machina, God from the machine, what Zeus would wear. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.